Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555. So I was just saying about my purpose, obviously having time to contemplate and think a little bit more about my purpose. And I've sort of got onto, I mean obviously it's about exposure, isn't it? Let's face it, I don't think we can deny that. But I was doing a little bit about karmic justice and social justice. And I just want to read you a little bit about karmic justice. I mean, obviously, it's all, excuse me, I'm a bit warm. Some of it's about what we already intuitively know about what we do. And obviously, in terms of the karmic justice from Google, if you want to go and have Google, and then there's loads of books and loads of really great, authors out there that talk a little bit more about it, but this is just an overview. So, karmic justice. Belief, universal laws of cause and effect, the individual experience of consequences of actions, good or bad. Well, we know that, don't we? Shaping one's fate. Functions as cosmic metaphysical balance where moral behaviour is rewarded and harmful actions penalised. We reap what we sow, Galatians 6:7. Now, in my book, I talk a little bit about metaphysical stuff as well. And the cause and consequences, every action, thought, words, deeds produces energy that eventually returns back to sender. Now, I just said that in one of my earlier recordings, I said, be mindful because words, thoughts, and actions have consequences. And obviously, energy is energy. It doesn't matter where you run to, it's going to come back to you anyway. What you put out is what you get back. So if you put out good stuff, you're going to get dharma. If you put out negative stuff, you're going to get karma. And obviously, if you're getting karma, it's a lesson so that you don't do it again. Some people keep repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, don't they? As in Albert Einstein. So also, balance and fairness is a system intended to restore equilibrium, often functioning over long-term spiritual evolution rather than immediate retribution. And it's all about individual responsibility. Now, one of the things I found on this journey, not people don't take responsibility and they don't take accountability, hence why they're constantly trying to push their negative energy and karma onto you. But it doesn't matter whether you get it. The point is, it's still in their Akashic records, and they still have to get it anyway. Because what they don't do, and when they dance with the devil or sign up to do negative stuff, the devil doesn't tell them about the fine print. And the fine print says that you don't own what you steal, you borrow it. And what that means is the karma that they get for doing the action, i.e. the deed, it still sits in their Akashic records anyway. So they might delay it, but they'll never stop it because we have to do our karma this lifetime. So they might delay it and they might think they've got away with it, but they've got away with nothing because all the karma sits in their Akashic records waiting for the alignment of the planet, divine timing, for it all to go back. Now, for some people, they've got a lot of karma for like decades. It's going back. And also for treating me the way they treated me, who was their spiritual protection, I was shielding a lot of people from karma whilst I was in their energy. But when I got removed and they chose other things, those things that they chose didn't come with spiritual protection, nor did they come with good karma. So it's about being mindful about how you treat people. Do unto others as you want done to you. And never judge a book by its cover. Judge and you shall be judged by the same measure you use. And I think that's what's happening now. People are being judged by how they've judged others. Because no one has the right to judge other than God himself. We can call judgment, yeah, or if you're given the authority to call judgment, but you don't judge because he will. And I think people miss the point on that one. So the one of them is individual responsibility implies personal accountability for one's destiny rather than punishment of human authority. Now, for me, I've been punished, haven't I, by somebody who thought they were God, and they're not, and they never will be. So, just food for thought there. Social justice, fair and equitable distribution of resources, opportunity and rights, ensuring all people, especially marginalised groups, can live with dignity. It focuses on removing barriers related to disability, ethnicity, gender, age to foster an inclusive, equitable society. And I will also add there, for those that want to consider themselves religious and for those that want to consider themselves spiritual, I don't think it's anybody else's judgment to decide how someone wants to define themselves, and nor is it their right to decide to test them with all sorts of crazy stuff. The fundamental principles, equity, access, participation and rights, the goal, creating a society that values diversity and ensures fair treatment, equal opportunity and the protection of human rights. And now I want to elaborate on that a bit, because I don't believe my human rights, well, I don't believe I was given justice for all the crimes against me, because quite clearly I wasn't, and I don't believe my human rights have been protected. And why do I say that? Because Article 8 says the right to privacy. I have no privacy, and the question is why. And if somebody thinks that click and collect gives them the right to destroy my privacy, it doesn't, because I'm not for sale, never was and never will be. So for me, that is important. And then there's a lot more, but I'm going to touch on this particular one. Policy, implementing laws that ensure fair wages, education and healthcare access. I'm also going to say human rights on that one. And right to believe and stand in your own truth and righteousness. Daily life, ensuring equitable treatment in schools, workplaces and communities, and I'm going to add human rights to that one as well. And also justice, social justice, making sure that one gets justice for any injustice, irrespective of who you are and what position you hold in the world, because we all have the right to justice. Social justice recognises that different people have different needs and circumstances, requiring targeted support rather than identical treatment to achieve true equality. And I truly believe that. I think that, and I understand financially there are financial challenges, but I do think that how we look around the world, how money is spent, and from what I've seen, there are areas where money could be spent better. And people could actually do their job rather than running around trying to do other jobs that they're not qualified to do in their job, and also using their job to facilitate their hobby, i.e. whatever affiliated group they're in. Just saying, that's my point. Human rights, protecting our fundamental freedoms and solidarity, support and unity for a common purpose, inclusion, enabling everyone to participate in society and treating people fairly based on their specific needs. So I'm going to go back to the inclusion, enabling everyone to participate in society. So for me, why is somebody feeling that they have the right to block me from all aspects of my life, steal money out of my bank account, steal my identity, not be seen as a serious crime, come into my home, inject me with all sorts of stuff, don't send forensics when I actually phone up about someone accessing my home. So for me, that needs to change, doesn't it? No one has the right to come into someone's home, which is their castle and their place of, serenity, and not have the system support them and make sure that they're safe. They shouldn't have to leave and run out of their hometown because somebody has got somebody in their pocket. It's not the right way to live, is it? So that's one of the reasons why I put my channel up, just so that people can hear my story. And I hope that if other people are going through whatever somebody has decided to target me for, that they understand they do have a voice and they are entitled to voice it without repercussion and persecution. For we're all here on our journey, irrespective of who you are and what position you hold in society. It does not give you the right to treat people badly. For we do unto others as we want done to you, and we do reap what we sow, irrespective of who you are. And I praise God for that, for the fact that He gave us faith. And I am grateful for that. And I also had another part as well, and I can't remember if it's in this one, it might be in the other book, but where it talks about Jesus. We're not fighting from victory when it comes to spiritual warfare, because Jesus already has won the victory by dying for us on the cross for our sins. So we're fighting as victory, not for victory, because he already died for our victory. And I'll do that on the second one because I don't think it's in this book. But yeah, so I just wanted to just say that, and I don't know if you saw my bullying campaign where somebody decided to steal it. It was the most surreal thing I've ever experienced. When I did the GoFundMe, I was so happy, managed to get the QR code sorted and everything, and then I went into it and it had been deleted. And then I sent them an email and they kept telling me all sorts of stuff. And I was, I did put my legal hat back on and started reciting some of the stuff that they were, challenging some of the stuff they'd said. Never received a response again. So I'm assuming that was an affiliated member. They're everywhere. But the thing is, they didn't block me per se. They just basically stopped people having a service from me that could have helped them, a year, 2 years ago. And so for me, it's like, you're not hurting me, you're just hurting loads of other people that could have benefited from having a voice to be able to express what they've been through. And I didn't just do it for the people that have been abused. I wanted to actually expand it to people that are abusers as well. Anyone that wanted to admit to it, because obviously they've got something they need to look at and heal as well. And maybe they've got a trauma or a wound, like the bully at school type thing. Who knows? You know what I mean? But my point was to help everyone who wanted to be helped, and someone decided to take that away from all those people that could have been helped. So I do assume that because they did that and it was God's work, that they will reap what they sow for that. Because obviously that's not against me, that's against helping others who needed to have help. And obviously, if you've got a gift, and as we've all got something, haven't we, that we can share with others to just make a chain reaction of goodness, then you get goodness back. So whoever's trying to block me from my life and block me from working and block me from even doing voluntary, I'm sure that they'll reap what they sow. Because every door probably will close for them, and every opportunity that they want to take on won't be there. Because when you play those games, remember, God's all seeing, and he sits high and he looks low, and he's a spirit at the end of the day. As ancestors are spirits, as angels are spirits, as what they dance in the dark are spirits, aren't they? They're still watching, and they're still observing, and we still all have an Akashic record where everything goes in, the good, the bad and the ugly. And that's how we're all measured when it comes to karmic debt. Have you learnt your lessons? And if you haven't, here's your debt that you need to clear, which is called karma. And if you have learnt your lessons, here's your dharma and here's your blessings. That's the way it works. And I think people need to understand that. And so for those that steal people's blessings, there's a lot of karma there, because they don't learn the lesson, they don't walk on the path of righteousness and truth, and they don't have any experience, and they don't gain any wisdom. And so I don't believe it's actually a destiny swap. I just think it's a theft of wealth and abundance and maybe creativity, because everyone's style mind, didn't they? And then decided to phone up my contacts and spread a load of lies that weren't true and create a defamation. And if you look at my channel, the legal consequences that people have decided to step into, maybe because they thought I was naive, I don't know, but they didn't do the due diligence, and they didn't do the due diligence on me at all, history, either background or whatever, but they also read a book by its cover, and you don't do that, do you? So now the legal consequences that they faced, I mean, abusing somebody is not great anyway, but to film it and then to make money on it, creating your own evidence, is something else. I mean, that's demonic. that's somebody that obviously is not thinking at all. I mean, obviously for me, they've created their own evidence, but for them, that can't be very good, can it really? And then obviously by coming for me and creating a whole heap of rubbish. I mean, I actually watched, and I was thinking about, as you think about stuff, I actually watched. There was loads and loads of military flying around my home at one point, and then there was loads of helicopters flying around my home. This was when I was working, because it kept coming all the time. And then there was some people that had moved into the bungalow across the way from me. There was an old couple in there, and there's people that were in there, and there's always big screens and monitors and everything going on in there. And then I jumped out of bed and I saw a man parachute over the other way where there was a pond. And I actually thought I was dreaming, but I wasn't. There was actually somebody that had parachuted out of some sort of military thing into the area. I felt like I was in some sort of movie. And then I watched them change the lights outside, but there was only specific lights they did, and they put cameras on them that were facing my house. It's all sorts of stuff. And then obviously loads of police officers knocking on my door left, right and centre. Some of them I don't believe were police officers. I think some of them were actors. And then there were some that wanted me to go to the police station, I believe, to leave my house so they could access my house. And when I got to the police station, it was a waste of time anyway. So it was just surreal, some of the things I've experienced. Very weird. And then to have no support from the systems that you actually believe are there to serve and support you was very weird. Hence why I do believe that, when you hit into spiritual warfare and you hit into truth and you hit into righteousness, because obviously the world lives on a bed of lies, doesn't it? I mean, obviously it's changing now because everything's imploding, isn't it? And all timelines and all things that were done are now being exposed around the world. But it's so important to align to God, because you have law. If you think about Jesus, what was he fighting for? Law, faith. So, all I can say is I am grateful that I have the Spirit of God and my ancestors and the archangels and the higher beings, celestial beings out there fighting for us, because I do believe that I was guided to pick up the Bible, and I had one of them little ones at first, and then I had to go to a church and I got one of these ones, which is the Gideon one. I mean, I've dropped it so many times it's falling apart now, and I don't think you ever get out of your Bible. I listened to some, and some say you should know it, and yeah, sometimes you should. Certain things I do, but I'm never going to remember all of it. And I do like to read it as well, because it just there's little bits in there that you might not have remembered, or you're guided to go read it or whatever. I'm going to do another one in a minute because I think this has gone a bit too long, but I'll do another one on the one that I read this morning, and it just opened on that page, and there was a reason why it opened on that page. So yeah, there's me going off on one karmic justice and social justice, and I do believe that's part of my purpose. I created a business in 2013, and I didn't really understand why I created it, and I didn't really developed it, but now I understand it. And it's all for this, aligned to the coaching and aligned to all four queens and everything else. So yeah, but God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? So you just have to go with the flow, and you go with it, and you know that at some point it's all going to make sense, and it's starting to make sense for me now. So I'm going to send you much love and light, and a lot of healing, and I hope whoever's going through at the beginning, the middle or the end, there's never any an end, I don't think. We're always healing and we're always learning, but I'm going to say, take it easy, you're not alone, and we are all in this together, and we will get through it. And if I save one person who's allowed to be a subscriber on my channel and give them new insight into to looking at things in a different way, then I've done my job. So catch you on the next one. Bye.